it straight away starts working through the brain. You get very strong, deep, visceral breathing motion of the brain. Now, we work with that in many different ways, but it's quite energetic when you're working with this movement of the limbs. You get a more, it's not such an energetic feeling through the body. It is, you're feeling all of the muscles through the whole body, tightening, shortening and widening on the in-breath, lengthening and narrowing on the out-breath. Very much you can feel that happening on the level of the muscles and bones. And on the level of structure through the brain, you start feeling the brain cells breathing, like every cell has a microskeleton and muscles, and they all you automatically start feeling this breathing motion through the glial cells and the neurons, all of the brain cells. You start feeling them breathing. And what this brought up for me, I started getting quite scared because I'm bringing back the Lyme's disease, because I started experiencing, one, that the brain was in shock from having Lyme's disease, and also the quality of Lyme disease. Now, I may still have Lyme disease. There may be spirochetes still there. I don't know. But my feeling is that it's the memory. And there's just a shed load of karma here. I'm going to talk about it. We may go a little bit longer because I think it's good to talk about it because it's a healing principle. In a way, Lyme's disease brought through holographic breathing, or helped in holographic breathing being discovered. I was dying of Lyme's disease, a neurological Lyme's disease attacking my brain. I didn't know what I had, and I wanted to find out, so I just asked, I just said, take me, just take me. I just lay on my bed and breathe, and I said, take me. And I made a prayer to the universe that it didn't kill me. And that is what it felt like. It felt like it started off as a tiredness, and then that tiredness would turn into this kind of quite ecstatic feeling of dying. And then that would ebb away, and then there'd be another wave of that, and then another wave, until I did actually die. It was as if I'd gone to the other side. And there was these beings there, and this really lovely light. And then I slowly came back, and then for the next 2 months, my Kundalini just went off. I thought I was going to end up in a loony bin. That wasn't the more recent one that didn't go away. That did stop after a couple of months. And then the holographic breathing just started. And that gave me a way of accessing the brain. That was then that I found out I had Lyme disease. That gave me a way of accessing the brain, cleansing the brain, detoxing the brain, and clearing the Lyme disease. So in a way, Lyme disease helped me find that place that the energy came through. And then it also gave me a way of healing it. So what I want to work with here is, there is the immune system that will, in my case, will kill the spirochetes. But what the spirochetes do is they burrow into the brain cells, so they're actually inside the cells, and they will live there, and they'll do that through the whole body. And I'm not really 100% sure of how that all works, but my image is that the immune system is outside of the cells. It's the T cells in the body and different things, and in the brain, some microglial cells, which are definitely outside of the cells. So there's nothing there to kill them when they're got inside the cells. And they go into all of the cells. They go into the neurons, they go into the astrocyte cells, they go into the myelinating glial cells. I'm not so sure about the microglial cells, because I think the microglial cells will eat them, because they are the immune system. But they do go into that whole area. And as I was being with this, and this whole experience of the Lyme disease this deep neurological pain, I kind of realized that diseases of the brain are helping us to transform and ascend. Because if you work with them, if you start breathing with those areas, you're bringing to get to the disease, or just in the experience, even when you're in that I'm dying and you're aware of your brain, you are aware of your brain, you're aware of this crippling tiredness and this neurological pain and this feeling I'm going to die. But you're also aware, because your consciousness is here, you're aware of this spiritual energy. And I'm not so sure it's just my spiritual energy. Everything is of God. So the Lyme disease might be separate spirochetes, but they are a colony. They're all connected energetically, and they have their own form of higher self. So I don't think you're just feeling your own connection to the source. You're also aided by the spirochetes' connection to the higher self. Now, I'm talking about my disease, but this will be any disease for anybody. And I think with ME, any brain disease, a lot of tiredness diseases, they're of the brain. And as I went through this, what was happening was there's this connection to the higher self of the spirochetes, of myself, and maybe the immune system can't kill the spirochetes inside the cells. But it felt like this connection, when I allowed this connection to the higher self, and that was coming down through these cells, that was taking the Lyme's disease home. That the spirochetes were dying and they were going home. And it wasn't that it was killing them. It was like that they'd done their job. And that the spirochetes had made pathways through the whole body of how they deeply affected my lungs. I continually had pneumonia when I had it badly, and different things. Other people get it. Kind of the weakest places give way and it destroys the immune system. So it makes all these connections and pathways through the body, but they're to your weakest points. So you're able to let the higher energies and the energies of the access these pathways that the spirochetes have created to heal your weakest points. So as the energies were traveling through that, and for me, one, healing my brain, but also healing my lungs, it was a bit like at a certain point the spirochetes have done their job and they can go home and they can leave kind of calmer down. It's not like I'm going to kill it with this light. It's like it's all working together, like the microbiome, which is full of organisms, is working with us to heal us. And it a bit like, for me, Lyme's disease may be a disease that is taking us into the new age. And just having that image, you can feel them turning into light, that they're no longer the enemy, that may have made you ill, but they're helping on your spiritual path. Just having that different vision of them, that they're healing you rather than killing you. One is aiding them to go home, but also the image is healing you. And that is the second part that I want to bring into this webinar series, is the placebo effect. Now, I think that's a degrading name for what's happening. I mean, the other way I've healed Lyme disease is I just make my own homeopathic remedies, or you make any remedy. I just write it on a piece of paper. And to bring this more to the surface, I just wrote on a piece of paper, spirochetes in my neurons, and then put a homeopathic potency, D8, D30, D200, and I'll stick that on my water filter, and then that goes in as a remedy into the water filter, and then I drink the water or make food. And I wrote that for several things. I wrote it for all of the brain cells, I wrote it as the memory of Lyme's disease, and I wrote one for immune reaction to Lyme's disease. I mean, I just wrote it. I didn't even drink the water. I passed out for about 3 hours after writing it. And then when I just stuck it on there and started drinking the water, boy, I mean, it was just being back there in the deepest pains of Lyme disease. And that is just thought. That is just an image. That is, you know, I've done that so often, and every time I've done it, it works. So my belief is, it's going to work. Something's going to happen. And because I believe it, or I've done a ceremony to make it, just works. And this gives us ultimate power within ourselves to heal ourselves. So rather than having to go to a doctor or someone, we can make our own remedies. And if we can find a way of accessing whatever place in us we need to access to heal ourselves, then we can. And that is important, because as I'm saying that, there's just this really, really bright light coming into me. So our ability within ourselves to access our inner light and our ability to heal ourselves, if we can somehow find that and utilize that in this series of webinars, would just be a nice thing to bring to the table. And there's just, I think for me, in these webinars, I just talk about stuff. I haven't got a clue how to convey that to people, or that it happens in the meditation. But just talking about it, that energy comes in. I just feel this incredible upset going off in my solar plexus, and different things happening through my whole body. So just talking about that and leaving the space open for that, I think brings in the ability for everyone to find that in themselves. I mean, wouldn't that be the most fantastic, resourceful, healing thing, if you could just access a place of total healing in yourself, and that you were made better? I mean, even with surgical operations, they think 30% of the people are getting better because of placebo. And you can even give a pill, you know, they do these blind trials where some of the pills are placebo, but now they've realized they can give someone a pill. They say, this is a placebo pill to help you get better from your cold. There's nothing in it. It is just a placebo pill. They can give that to people and they will get better. You don't even actually have to trick yourself. You just need a ceremony. For me, I write it down, I put it on the water filter. That's a ceremony. I can feel the magic. I can feel it happening as I write it down. I guess you can make any ceremony to access that inner knowledge. But somewhere we know everything. Somewhere we can completely heal ourselves. And it's the ability to somehow find that. And we're bringing that to the table definitely tonight and hopefully for the whole of this series.